Rain fell in steady sheets onto the city sidewalk, blurring neon lights and soaking through the thin fabric of her jacket. She stood under a flickering bus stop sign, gripping her phone tightly, pretending to read messages she had already read 5 times. Her hands shook, not from the cold, but from the call she had just received. Another rejection. Another disappointment. Another reminder that she was utterly alone in a city that never slowed down for broken hearts. Her name was Lily, and tonight felt heavier than most nights. She had lost her job that morning. By evening, her landlord had left a voicemail reminding her rent was overdue. And just an hour ago, she had walked past the restaurant where she and her ex used to meet every Friday, only to see him through the window, laughing, happy, arm around another woman. That was when her strength finally gave way. She turned abruptly, nearly colliding with the man walking behind her. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Dressed in a simple dark coat that looked far too expensive for a rainy evening stroll. He stopped instantly, hands raised in apology. "I'm sorry," he said calmly, his voice steady and warm. She barely heard him. Her eyes burned, throat tight, emotions crashing all at once. Before she could stop herself, the words slipped out, trembling, "Can you just hug me for a second?" The man froze. The city noise seemed to hush as he looked at her, really looked. Her mascara was smudged. Her lips trembled slightly. She wasn't beautiful in a polished way, but there was something heartbreakingly real about her. "Something raw. You don't even know me," he said gently, not judging, just surprised. "I know," she whispered. "But if I don't feel another human heartbeat right now, I think I might break." For a heartbeat, he hesitated. Then, without a word, he opened his arms. She stepped into them like she'd been waiting all her life. His coat smelled faintly of clean linen and rain. His arms were strong but careful, as if he understood how fragile she felt. She pressed her face against his chest, tears spilling freely now, her body shaking as sobs escaped. He didn't rush her. Didn't pull away. He simply held her, steady and solid, grounding her in a world that suddenly felt less cruel. He didn't know why he did it. He just knew it felt right. Minutes passed. Maybe seconds. Time blurred. Eventually, she pulled back, embarrassed, wiping her face quickly. "I'm so sorry. That was inappropriate. I shouldn't have." "It's okay," he said softly. "Sometimes people need more than explanations." She managed a small, tired smile. "Thank you. Really. You have no idea how much that helped." They stood there awkwardly for a moment, rain dripping off the pavement between them. "I'm Lily," she said finally. "Ethan," he replied. She nodded. "Well, Ethan, you just saved a complete stranger's night. Or maybe, you saved mine," he said, surprising himself. She laughed quietly, assuming he was just being kind. "Good night, then." "Good night, Lily." She walked toward the bus stop, shoulders hunched but steps slightly lighter. He watched her go, something unfamiliar stirring in his chest. What she didn't know was that Ethan wasn't just another passerby. He was the CEO of one of the largest tech empires in the country. A billionaire whose name dominated business headlines. A man surrounded daily by power, boardrooms, and people who wanted something from him. And yet, in that silent rain-soaked moment, a stranger's vulnerability had shaken him more than any deal or negotiation ever had. That night, he couldn't sleep. Her face haunted him, not because of desire, but because of the honesty in her pain. The way she had trusted him without knowing who he was. The way her tears had soaked into his coat like they belonged there. Days passed, and then fate intervened again. Lily had landed an emergency temp job at a corporate office, reception work, minimum pay, short term. She didn't even look at the company name when she applied. On her first morning, dressed neatly but plainly, she stepped into the towering glass building, heart racing. Everything looked expensive. Intimidating. She sat at her desk, organizing paperwork, when a familiar voice stopped her cold. "Lily." Her head snapped up. Ethan stood there, clean-shaven, confident, wearing a tailored suit that screamed power. Her eyes widened. "You," he smiled, that same calm smile, but his eyes sparkled with recognition. "Looks like the city isn't done with us yet." It took her a moment to process. "Wait, you work here?" He glanced around. "I suppose I do." That's when realization hit her like lightning. Whispers echoed behind her. Employees straightened. Assistants hesitated to interrupt him. CEO, her face flushed. "Oh my God. I hugged a billionaire." He chuckled softly. "And yet, you didn't treat me like one." I'm mortified, she said, half laughing, half panicking. Don't be, he replied. That was the most honest thing that's happened to me in years. From that moment, everything shifted. Ethan found reasons to pass the reception desk. Lily found herself looking forward to his quiet smiles. Conversations grew longer. Laughter came easier. He didn't shower her with money or gifts. He offered understanding, respect, space. When he learned about her job loss, he didn't pity her. He admired her resilience. When she learned about the loneliness behind his success, the empty penthouse, the manipulative relationships, the constant pressure, she didn't idolize him. She listened slowly. Something rare formed between them. Connection. Weeks later, standing on the same sidewalk where they'd first met, Ethan spoke words that changed everything. That night, when you asked me to hug you, he said, rain beginning to fall again, you had no idea who I was. And if I had known, she replied softly, I never would have asked. He stepped closer. I'm glad you didn't know. So am I. He held out his arms again. This time, she stepped into them without hesitation, but this hug was different. This one wasn't about survival. It was about choice, and as the city moved endlessly around them, neither of them realized just how much that single second of courage, of vulnerability, had rewritten their lives forever. Sometimes, it takes just one honest moment with a stranger to find the person who changes everything.